had it forever. I apologize.
Hey, you know what? I've got small cough too, and you all deserve to know that. Welcome to Talk Chef. I am one of your hosts, Reka.
I'm your other host, Jordan.
And today, I'm also your host, Avishar. Today,
exactly. I guess. Yes.
That's me. Yeah.
We are so excited to have Chef Avishar Barua from season 18 of Top Chef, Portland.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Avishar, you were like a favorite of Jordan and mine on that season. I
don't believe it. I think you're all lying. I don't.
Well, you're not lying, and I'll tell you, I'm still upset because I didn't win that thing where Talenti brings your gelato to my house.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird. It was strange.
I win.
I heard a lot of people say that there was a lot of upset, and you know what? I'm if they just put Avishar's name on that ice cream, I think it would have been easier to find. I think I'm just kidding. They said Avishar Gelato, number one, also Buckeye. And those are two key words in the state of Ohio that would definitely boost sales.
Absolutely. Listen, people here were big fans all the way through. We loved your space looking s'mores. We loved the Buckeyes. We love everything. We love you bringing South Asian, Bangladeshi cuisine to the table. We're big fans. So welcome and thanks so much for joining us.
Like I said, it's very exciting to be able to talk about food and PTSD. So they say it's best to talk about these things in public, and then you'll feel better about yourself. Maybe this is the start.
Air it in front of strangers, and that's the healthy thing for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely as an Asian American, that was definitely taught to us to share our emotions. So this is pretty easy and normal for me.
I can confirm that my parents were all about share your emotions, talk it out. Yeah. We will talk back to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Elaine shouting out your carbonated grapes as well. Again, we got people that know the absolute specifics.
People are going wild in the chat.
People are wild out.
I still find it hard to believe it. I'm just me, and I've been like me for I don't know, like 30. I don't know my age anymore. It's been a weird few years. I think 34 is how old I am. I'm born 87. Yeah, it's strange. Like that reaction is strange because like I just went on and tried to cook, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're Avishar." I was like, "But I've been Avishar I've cooked for 10 years."
Well, that's actually a good place to ask this question. Were you a fan of Top Chef before being on the show? Like, what got you into it?
So I actually did a thing when I started cooking because I went through an entire career change and this long. We could write a book about the process of me choosing to go this route instead of doing the conventional route and the struggles I went through there. But ultimately, when I started cooking, the way that I got along with some of the chefs that I was with is we would actually watch Top Chef. Like that was like the only TV show we really had time for. We tried and watched the other ones, but honestly, like Top Chef for me was like, these are real chefs. Like these are people that they're doing it, and they have this time limit and they're focusing on the cooking. And I thought that was always really cool. Like, I watched Hung break down that chicken in 15 seconds and we still go like, that is crazy. Yeah. So even the dog's like, how did Hung break that chicken?
I know.
It's crazy, right? The dog knows. Everyone knows. That's the thing about Top Chef. So I said I would not do any TV shows. And this is like, I was just a stupid, and I still am a stupid young cook, but I was like, I'm not going to do any TV unless it's like Top Chef or Iron Chef. And I was like, that'll never happen. So when I got like this message in my email, I was like, haha, someone's throwing a prank on me. There's no way, there's no way that I'm going on the show. And I didn't believe it for so long until like the cameras turned on, like, and it was just like the timer did actually start. And then I was looking and I was like, oh my God, it's real. Like, it didn't hit me because it's just weird for me to perceive that I would ever make it onto the show. Cause like, it's very, very good chefs. And they're super talented, like super like badass. And I never consider myself one of those people. I just try and get better and cook every day,
Yeah. I mean, I think what you said is so true that one of the reasons Jordan and I both love the show so much is it is very food forward. It's not necessarily like, ooh, shiny personalities, the way like a lot of Bravo TV tends to be. It's really quite different from the rest of the stuff on Bravo slate. It's really just about the cooking most of the time, or when it's at its best, it's about the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So before we dive into this week's episode that we had you watch, just a couple of orders of business. So all our Talk Chef viewers know this is a food charity-based live stream. So at the end of this season, we're going to do a big charity fundraiser with raffles, auctions, all sorts of things to raise money for a food-based charity. So stay tuned for information about that. Last season, we raised over $1,000 for the Haitian Bridge Alliance in one night, which was awesome.
It was awesome.
That's amazing.
So, we did it. Reka and I raised it, but y'all did it. So
that's the thing. We were just here. I just sent somebody a fan in the mail that was autographed, and you guys actually did all the work. So really, thank you. Second order of business is actually something we didn't tell you, Avishar, which is that just like every episode of Top Chef has a quick fire.
Ah, here we go.
So does every episode of Talk Chef, but it is not cooking related. It is all just Avishar preference related.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to give you 45 seconds, which
Okay.
I the fastest quick fire in Top Chef history.
Okay. I can make things up very quickly. You know, it's just the internet. It's not like anything I say on here is going to be held against me anytime in my life, right?
Exactly. The internet, you guys heard it here first. Internet's good.
Yeah, it's great.
So we're going to ask you 10 questions in 45 seconds. And just in case you want some incentive, there's some big primo prizes at stake here.
Okay.
The first is a deed to the Terlato wine vineyard.
Oh,
Ever heard of it?
I have seen. Actually, I did do my homework, so I know of this vineyard. You know, I love Pellegrino, Torato, BMW, Campbell's soup, Talenti. I got this. You know, like, listen, it's just really wrong with me. I was like, man, when I felt I am home. There's nothing like these things that I automatically identify with just being there, and then I get to spread my.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nothing like coming home to my Campbell's soup, tossing the can in a hefty Glad Force Flex bag, and turning on my GE appliance.
When I came back from my experience, my kitchen team, they made a basket. It was wonderful, and they did a very good. They just said, today's challenge involves Hidden Valley Ranch. Just couldn't keep a straight face. So yeah, it was. They did that. They bought me a big clock. It was a gigantic clock, and I just walked in. I was like, I'm not doing this today. So and I walked right out. It was wonderful. Yeah.
The challenge was you had to drink all the ranch.
I'm from Ohio, so you know it is a mother sauce.
There you go.
It's a good sauce. You can knock on it, but you can't not acknowledge its existence as a powerful sauce in America.
We would never try to do that. I just want to be clear up top at the beginning of this. We would never try to besmirch the name of ranch.
No. Yeah, and you know the story of ranch, right? There's actually, if you want to talk about controversy, there's two huge ones with ranch dressing. Hidden Valley, they claim that they were the first one to have this, and I've been into, you know, when you cook in different cities, everyone knows what ranch dressing is. That's your identifying point. They have a strong opinion. And then if they're a human being, they like ranch dressing, then you go to the next point of conversation is, do you know the origin of ranch? And Hidden Valley claims that, Hidden Valley was a ranch, and they just made a dressing with things they found kind of in the garden. So that's why it's an herb-based creamy dressing with buttermilk. That's the preferred way to go about it. But Marzetti Company here, that's based here in Columbus, Ohio, actually, they claim that they also were the ones to do it. So it's one of those debatable points. The Hidden Valley story seems to make more sense. It's one I want to believe as someone that's from Columbus, but you know, I'm just happy that we have two ranch kings, you know, queens of ranch dressing philosophies.
We have a 2-party ranch system, and it's just like, maybe we just need like a monarch. We just need a ranch king. Maybe,
yeah, ranch. Yeah, I mean, there could also be like a ranch war. There's all kinds of things that we can get into. I mean, I would just like, hey, so once I'm like, both of them are good. Each of them have their applications, but then I just go like, so how do I deep fry this? Because, you know, I'm from Ohio. So, and then we find a way to deep fry ranch dressing, and that becomes like that's sort of food that I like to make. So, you know,
across the aisle, you can deep fry either, and that's actually beautiful.
Yeah, it's where there's a will, there's a way, right? That's what they say.
Yes, absolutely. That's beautiful. I will say, while I do find Hidden Valley Ranch to be king, Marzetti has a great blue cheese.
They do. They also, and I found out I know we're already going on a tangent, but I got this one of the everyone's like, hey, what are your, and you might this might be one of the questions you asked me. What is one of your most like crowning moments? Like, what are you most proud of in your entire cooking career? And I will tell you, I did this menu item that was based off of the cheesy gordita crunch from Taco Bell. I called it the cheesy burrito crunch. Cheesy brisket crunch was the original term, and then, like, you know, it's going through these processes where it was something that was very dear to me as a young cook, as a kid going to Taco Bell. So it was really cool to be able to apply all these techniques to a double decker taco, and people actually liked it. I'd never thought in a million years it would do that, and that actually got me in Food and Wine. It was insane. They did a write up on that, and that blew my mind. And it was like they understood the story. They were just like, hey, this is like your child, and this is like, you like hard tacos, soft tacos. And then I got a message on Instagram from Taco Bell's corporate chef, and then I said, okay, I'm being sued by Taco Bell. It's finally happening. It's got to go away. And he said, actually, you want to fly out and see what we do? Like, we think it's pretty cool that you, and they flew me out to the Taco Bell's headquarters. I went to the regional Taco Bell in Irvine.
Oh my God.
Like one of like out of all this stuff in my life, like, you could, you know, James Beard, all this stuff is cool, but like to go to the when Taco Bell says, "Hey, come to Taco Bell." Like that's
story.
It was, and it is like it's so much cooler in person than you might think of. And I know like Taco Bell, but again, you can go to Taco Bell right now because it's 3 hours back, and I can go to one, and we can get the same thing for under $5 and share a meal together. It's crazy, right? Like that's insane.
I will say, so I'm a vegetarian now, but when I ate meat, I was a really big fan of Taco Bell, and it's one of the only fast food places that when I became a vegetarian, you can still go to eat there.
Yeah. Sorry, my aunt actually. So my aunt, she's Gujarati. And when she came, she married we're Bengali. There was entire thing when they got married. My aunt would always take us to eat. The two things is she'd get the 7-layer burrito all the time, minus rice. That was like her order because everyone's got a Taco Bell order. And then she used to get Wendy's chili. She didn't know there was meat in chili until like 3 years. I felt so bad. I was like, "There's meat in there, and you're vegetarian." And she, it was one of those like, ooh, interesting moments because there's something lost in translation, obviously. So no more Wendy's chili, but if Wendy's does an Impossible chili, also Wendy's based in Ohio, crazy Dublin, Ohio. If they decide to do an Impossible chili, my aunt is on board 100%. And the entire, large part of the population probably enjoy that.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And I also have to say, I had a similar experience because I grew up vegetarian because my parents are vegetarian, and I have like very vivid memories of going to Skyline Chili, like
Cincinnati, yeah.
There we go. I'm not from Cincinnati, but we had one in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I went all the time, and I would eat chili cheese dogs with like people from school. And then one day my parents were like, "What did you do?" I was like, "Oh, we went to Skyline Chili. I ate 400 cheese dogs with chili on top." My parents were like, "Those have meat in them." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I was shocked. I had no idea, just because I had always been vegetarian. So I was like, everybody's vegetarian. And I knew like a steak was meat, but I was like, things that look like other food, I had eaten veggie dogs and stuff. I'm like, we all don't eat meat, right?
Yeah, and then here's the thing: is like, there's a lot of controversy about like, hey, they're using like soy protein. Well, then it's mostly vegetarian, so you're good. We're all good, right? So it's a great thing.
No harm, no foul.
Beautiful. So, okay, back to this quickfire. You could win a deed to the Trelato Wine Vineyard, which is located in the depths of hell or somewhere. We don't know because we can't seem to buy any for ourselves, but it did sponsor 1 million seasons of Top Chef, which is beautiful. You can also win your own personal suite of broken GE appliances, just like you see on the show. So we're talking about an oven that doesn't get up to temp, a deep fryer that doesn't get up to temp, a fridge that doesn't close. All of that could be yours.
Interesting note. I do have a GE induction range, and it doesn't work. So it died after like.
That's
funniest thing about that. So we got this because like my parents were like, "Oh, we want to invest in technology. This isn't like the 90s." And everyone's like, "This is great. It's the future. It's induction. You don't even need anything." And like my mom, we're Bengali, so she buys cheap cookware. Like she goes to Macy's and waits for the sale and buys, and everything's aluminum. But it's all aluminum. Even like the karais and stuff that we have, they're all aluminum. So we bought this range, and there's no pans that work on them. And I was the one when I started cooking, I was like, "Ooh, things can work on them. I can just cook on this range." And then after trying to sear, like there's a thing about the home cooking and searing, it never works that very well for anybody unless you use an oven. There's just grease somewhere, so like I just fire, an alarm goes off. Yeah, it just burned the range out completely. And now I have a really interesting, beautiful surface that I can't cook on, which is GE. And GE was one of the proponents of bringing in induction burning into America, like because induction's been around for a long time. On the other hand, I'm not sponsored, but I do use PolyScience Control Freak, and it's like the exact opposite, and that's badass. Like that's a really cool way to use it. But that induction range for the past, no, not good.
It is not funny, but it is also because we've made this joke about broken GE.
It's real, yeah.
For like 60 episodes of this show.
Yeah.
So
the most broken thing is actually us, though. That's the thing you don't realize. We are broken. We, as people, we are broken. That's why we chose to cook. That's why we chose to embarrass ourselves on TV. That's yes. Okay. Sorry, I've offset your quickfire already by like 10 minutes.
Love it. This is what it's about.
And we love confirmation that those appliances are fully broken.
Oh no! Oh, this is official. Oh, geez.
Oh
my goodness.
Yeah, because I pull out my phone, you can barely see it. It is official.
Yes, man. It's Top Chef Kitchen is overpowering your phone.
That's the thing. I mean, it's weird. I'm actually in the Top Chef Kitchen, so I don't know why it's kind of behaving like a green screen.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's so weird. So I'm gonna start the timer for 45 seconds after Jordan finishes asking your first of 10 questions.
Okay.
So are you ready, Avishar?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. What would you do if you cut your hand during a challenge?
Scream medic.
What is your favorite thing to cook with?
Fire.
One word to describe Wiley Dufresne.
Awesome.
Breakfast, overrated or the best?
In between.
Best way to serve an egg?
In your mouth.
Favorite Top Chef contestant ever?
Me.
Judge, would you want
Sorry, it's okay. I'm wasting too much time now, but there's too many. They're all really good.
Which judge would you want to be stranded on a desert island with?
Gail?
Best Ohio food.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Oh man, it's chili cheese burrito from the Taco Bell. That still has it right down the street from me.
What food do you hate?
I used to hate bitter melon, but I don't anymore. So there's nothing that I hate.
How great are Jordan and Reka?
A scale of 1 to 10, like 14.5.
Wow. Okay, you know what?
But 1 is the best. So I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Double high. I gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, get out.
Hey, it was been fun. I'm gonna hit the end button now. So,
yeah.
just over time, but what a great series of answers.
Great answers.
Truly incredible. Wow.
When you said the Ohio thing, the problem now is like, if I say the wrong thing, someone's gonna scream at me. So you can't. Like, that is one. Like I have to. This is also a Top Chef thing, is you learn to deal with pressure, and the best way to deal with pressure is to stutter. So you go, "Oh no, I actually don't know."
Yes, beautiful. Simply incredible, Avishar. So let's dive into this episode, season 5, episode 12. So we're getting down to the wire. This is our final 5.
Sorry, also to interrupt you, but because I have this thing where the internet has taken over my brain and I just see numbers. I actually watched season 12, episode 5 first, and I was like, and then I was like, oh well, I guess I get to watch 2 episodes from a long time apart. So this is great. So
you
I watched 2 episodes. Yeah.
Top Chef Boston. That was Boston.
It's a good one. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was like, ooh, this is an interesting season. I remember, parts of it. That was when I was in the middle of cooking, so I couldn't watch any of it. But I know the people. I know some people from Top Chef Boston.
Hell yeah. I love Top Chef Boston.
It's a very cool season.
But we are in New York City, about to go to New Orleans. But before that, which is huge for Jordan, before that, get through a little quick fire. Judge Wiley Dufresne wants the chefs to create a dish with eggs that will surprise and delight him, and they have 1 hour. I remember very vividly watching this challenge when this season first aired, and I was like, Wiley Dufresne likes eggs, because I was living in New York and going to school. I was like, Wiley Dufresne likes eggs. What could be done with eggs? And
Let me give you a pop quiz reverse before you finish. What does he not like? 2 things. 2 things he absolutely hates. And
lunch
would never
and dinner.
Incorrect. There's 2 things that he absolutely despises and will not put on his menu unless it's completely his way.
What are they?
One of them is tomatoes. He doesn't like fresh tomatoes. And then 2 is he does not like salads.
The second one is a whole category.
That's crazy.
It's just one man's opinion. Like we're all people. We can have. There's some things that what I don't like is wet socks. I think that's a terrible thing. How do you go like when you?
Oh my god, I got
but
so
also,
scared.
He has a very good point about the salads, and I have a similar one. Is like you can make a salad at home, so why are you going to a restaurant and paying money when it's something you can produce? Like when you go and do this thing is, you can make the best home cooking food, but someone's spending extra money. They're spending more money than they would spend at home. So why would you produce something that you can just make at home? And if you look at it that way, it makes more sense. And tomatoes, I do agree with. When tomatoes are out of season, they're trash, honestly. So it's when you have a consistent good tomato, it's amazing. And at first I was like, whoa, and then I was like, actually, this is probably why I have weird salads that I make that aren't like traditional salads, and why I rarely will use a tomato. So
I will say, counterpoint to the salad thing, then make me a salad I can't make at home. That's all.
There's actually a lot of places that can do that for you, but Wiley will not do that for you. So that's exactly it. Is like there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
Planning to go to Wiley's after the show, but I guess I'm gonna.
I guess we can't do that now. I do have to say that I feel like the fact that I've known since I was born is that Wiley Dufresne likes eggs. I don't know why.
I don't know. I'm like, is it from this episode? I'm like,
I think it's something before that, Rega, because I feel like I was born knowing nothing else other than that fact.
It's like you learn goo goo gaga. Wiley.
Do you want to hear a really funny thing that I think? Well, I know this could go on, and I can also I could interrupt rudely, but I can say something that's actually funny that involves Wiley Dufresne. Is I'm actually wearing a service apron from WD-50. I happen to have stolen that on my way out, and I actually still wear it. So just because it's like it's a very sturdy apron, it doesn't wear very well. This is a WD-50. When you go upstairs, you basically earn your stripes, and they give you a service apron. You don't get to keep it, but you get to wear it, and it's like a really cool moment, like when you've busted your ass so long and you feel really cold in the service kitchen. But on my way out, I was like, they won't know if one's gone. And also they shut down. So like, it was like, I have this curse where I shut people's restaurants down. That's my fallacy. Yeah. Everything fails around me. That's me. Maybe it's me. Yeah. Mission Chinese. Oh, Department of Health shut us down. No, WD-50. Oh yeah. Well, we've been over for 10 years, but Avishar's presence got to shut down. Very good.
I have a feeling it's more related to the tomatoes in the salad than you.
Yeah, I think the salad coalition was like, this man can't in a restaurant.
My little vegetarian brethren got sad.
There's nothing wrong with vegetarian food, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a salad. And also, what do you define as a salad, Hot? Like, there's many ways. We offered a Caesar salad at WD-50, but it wasn't a Caesar salad. Like, we made like a fake eggshell. Like, there's a lot of. It doesn't mean he's saying. He's just saying that his preference is to not serve this thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Fine. Okay. Well, they have 1 hour to make eggs, which
crazy long time.
That's a long time. So I was like, I think the very first time I already knew to happen, but I was like, ooh, there's going to be some really cool, maybe someone will even bake something, like, I don't know. We end up with the way most of the people use this challenge was to make many versions of the same thing, duos and trios, which is usually not a good thing to do on this show, it seems.
It's competition, by the way. We don't call it a show.
Oh,
it's a competition.
Yeah. I forgot.
You see the straight face? It's a competition.
It's actually
it's a competition.
Rake is to TV. That's why Rake writes. Rake writes.
Yeah, exactly. I think
the Olympics are aired on TV. It's a competition. It's not a show. Top Chef. It's not called. Yeah. There's a winner. It's a competition. If I sound very serious, by the way, it's because I have this very strange personality issue and sense of humor where if I sound completely serious and I'm not. So just.
It's very funny to call it a personality issue.
There it is. Oh my God. You looked like you were frozen for a very long time.
I was. And it's, I got fiber optic here. So if I was frozen, it was intentional. This is one of those directing moments.
Okay, beautiful. So Avishar, what we usually do is we'll go through the dishes everyone made.
Okay.
And just like a thumbs up, thumbs down. The thumbs up, thumbs down is entirely based on whatever, like nothing. It's like, does it sound good? Does it sound like a Top Chef dish? Specifically with you, I mean, like, you are an actual chef. Normally we have like a lot of comedians on the show. Does it meet your standards?
Wait, I'm an actual chef. Are you sure? I mean, I think comedy sounds better. I mean, I'm probably good at that. This cooking thing, clearly I'm not very good at. So
I don't know.
I didn't win, so yeah.
But it's purely based on your own criteria. So truly no worries. Okay, so here's what we got for this egg quickfire. Stefan makes eggs 2 ways. Poached egg on brioche with ham and béarnaise, and then panna cotta with a mango puree and a sweet béarnaise. And they kind of both looked like a sweet and savory version of each other. This looked good to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's and again, like the thing that's going to happen that I think gets in the mind, and sometimes it's good to see things from being on there. What it feels like is when someone comes on and they give you. Good thing for us as chefs because it just means like I got to do more, like even though just completely honest, like challenge 2 I won right with Jetta. We got done early. We were like we felt good, and it was really weird because like we were like now we got to add more and more and more. Like even if you're done, you never feel done because you have a time limit, so the time limit makes you doubt yourself. It's like when you have too much time for a test and you go, well, let me correct myself to wrong, and then things go wrong. That's the scary, like mentally you're done at that point when they're like, you have an hour. It's like, you better produce something that's amazing in your mind. That's what you think. No one tells you because it's like, you just do the challenge, right? So you can make, and this is the best thing about, we're going to end up here, but like the person who won that challenge made one thing that was quite simple and it was correct. And it goes to say the rule is just don't get in your own head. Yeah. I was told that several times, and it never just registers because you're under so much duress. But that's an interesting pro tip.
Absolutely, no, I think that is super wise advice because we going down the line here. Leah made a quail egg in potato with caviar and brioche with ricotta and bacon hollandaise. Mm-hmm. That sounds good again, but we know what ends up happening with all these people.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Leah because when I was working at WD here, her restaurant Bacon Cow was across the street. So I went there, and it's crazy, right? It's to say that she was on the show, and then she's across from it was
so funny.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Carla made green eggs and ham with a green tomato salsa and a jalapeno oil.
Yeah, And she, again, before anything is even done, some people would say that's, and you heard the commentary, oh, this is too simple, but that's completely wrong if Wiley is a judge. Absolutely. Wiley Dufresne is a person that he has a sense of humor, right? Yeah. And he actually, if you've ever seen the man cook, he can make simple food better than anyone can. He didn't get a degree in science, he has a degree in philosophy. So everyone's like, they think he's this mad scientist. He's just a curious person. So
curious about eggs.
Yeah, and it's like that was when you give a joke to Wiley, that's what he likes more than anything else, because that's like a conversation. Like he likes to have conversations with people. He likes that more than anything else. That was completely like the smart and the right thing to do, and it was produced with confidence. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to do this shit that you think that I'm supposed to do because it's a challenge. He just said, I know how to cook this thing, and I'm going to cook it.
And I'm not going to necessarily pander to you, because similar to what Jordan said about coming out of the womb, knowing Wiley Dufresne likes eggs, I also know he likes molecular gastronomy. And
we don't use that term anymore. That's like if you want to talk about things that are dated and never have been, for people that actually, I guess, practice that as including, we call it just cooking, because Wiley said it very well in a lecture at Harvard. He said, hey, you know what doesn't sound good is I'm going to go out tonight and eat some molecular gastronomy. You know what's that? Oh, I'm craving some molecular gastronomy. It's just it's a magician term. We don't use it's like you can apply a technique to anything. Yeah. And you can say, hey, technology can improve something, but you know what? Baking powder was a new thing at some point. They used to use the horns of deer as a leavening agent. There's so much stuff that was in the past that at some point was considered modern or molecular gastronomy that I think it's kind of just silly to say. And I mean, most chefs that actually are the best at it will there's one or two that'll say, hey, I'm going to run with this because it's a very fancy term, but the majority of people just go, all we want to do is try and make cooking more consistent and better. And this is just the steps we need to take, right? Who the hell cares what you're using? If you as a guest get to enjoy a better experience, we'll produce it with whatever means necessary.
Wow, that reminds me of when one of my family members is like, oh, one of your comedy skits, you do your little comedy skit, and then I'm like, don't call it a skit.
Don't call it molecular gastronomy.
Well, I don't even know what that means. Does it mean that I use liquid nitrogen? Because we all do when it makes sense. Right? If I need to chill something down very fast or mill it very fine, then I'll use it. It doesn't mean that I when you say molecular gastronomy to me, that means sometimes people want to say, hey, I'm just going to drop nitrogen in your drink and make you blow your lungs out because I think it looks cool. And I don't believe in that, but I do believe that as a chemical, as the properties of liquid nitrogen allow you to produce a better food product more times than not. And there's a fear that people have, but once you use it, it's just like deep frying with cold. Do you have a problem with deep frying? Then you shouldn't have a problem with liquid nitrogen. It's actually safer than deep frying in most cases. So I don't know. It's very interesting that people like key terms, but they don't want to take the time to understand why someone would want to apply these. They just go, oh, well, it's flashy, so it must be cool. And again, magic is cool. I think magic is amazing, and magic can be used in cooking. But I'd rather do it in the 11 Madison Parkway, where it's hey, let's do a magic trick table set. I think that's cool. Not hey, maybe you wait 15 minutes before you can eat this thing that I want to describe to you. I don't know why we view it that way. It's kind of weird to me. But I'm from the Midwest. I just eat food, so
Yeah, I bet you also that term got popularized because it is something that looks like a magic trick on TV, and so it looks really flashy, even if it is not something.
I mean, if you also consider the terms objectively and literally, so if you're an English major, you'd say molecular, molecules, gastronomy, food. Is there molecules in food or not? What are we actually saying? So I have such a strange. It's I don't. Whenever someone says that, I start to discredit what they actually understand about the approach, which could be described as a scientific method towards cooking, which is food already. So where are we even going with this? It's always it's one of those it takes me longer to explain all we're trying to do is just make better food for you. That's all we're doing. And if we have to do something, we do it. I don't know. I'm going to learn something new, and then I'll question it. And then if it's wrong 9 times out of 10, then I won't do it. But if I can get it right 1 time out of 10, then I'm going to learn how to make that one time a time for everybody. And maybe you can call that molecular gastronomy, and that sounds good, but I don't agree with that necessarily.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of which, Hosea did eggs 3 ways.
Yep.
He made an egg white roll with salmon and asparagus, kind of mimicking a sushi appearance. Egg white sticky rice with poached shrimp and avocado and tempura fried egg. Sounds good to me. It is it's a bummer that we know kind of all of these things don't work out.
That guy didn't do really well that competition, right? So we have no idea I don't think that guy knew how to cook. I had no idea what became of that guy.
Yeah, either. Fabio did a quail egg with a buckwheat pancake and coconut milk panna cotta with mango puree and lychee soup with melon yolk.
Yeah.
Give this a thumbs down. It's too much and it's too disconnected. It felt like throwing anything at the wall and seeing what worked.
I think this is too random. And
I think it's tough for me because the mindset that he was, and again, I'll look at it as someone that was on there. The mindset is like, I'm going to show eggs in a way that Wiley would like the jokes where like, Wiley also made a mango egg yolk with, and it was a passion for, there's all these things that he's done with eggs that were non-egg related. He wasn't looking for that in this challenge. And that's what I was a rule reader when I was there. So I read the rules, and the rules is something that's what I would try and do. The rules would suggest probably use eggs in this one. Like, it's about eggs. So do the eggs in some way. And the fallacy isn't what he did. It was just that, Wiley was like, hey, none of this is eggs and this is dessert, right? He said, this is dessert you made. This isn't what I had imagined. You know what? Like, the thing at the end of the day is if a judge says this is what they want, your opinion will probably not beat that judge's judging criteria, right? If someone says, man, I want to see you do a 2.5 turn pike and a dive, you say, you know what? I'm going to do a back better. It doesn't matter. It's not what they asked for, right? So
yes.
And again, it's like, it was just a decision at the time because you don't have a lot of time. You have to just make up your mind. And he was going for it. Like he was saying, I'm going to put out 3 dishes in 1 hour, which if you work in restaurants, 3 dishes like that. He embraced molecular gastronomy the most, if you want to say it in those terms. He did everything that you would think you would want Wiley to do. Right. So I don't think that was a wrong move. I just, there was like the frame of reference was offset.
For sure. I think that you're totally right on that. And it's a bummer because it would have been kind of cool since he went in like a dessert angle to see what he could like, I would try like what you would do with eggs in a dessert context, like an egg custard.
If he applied actual eggs, though, there was like the issue was that there was no eggs. Like really, it was like things that looked like eggs, but there was no eggs.
Yes, like.
But also, an intermezzo though at WD was that dish exact. There was a coconut milk and mango. Like it wasn't an egg at all. So it makes sense, And what you want to do is like I want to impress this guy that I respect. So he tried, right? And I think that's I could have made the same. I did make the same mistakes a couple times.
For sure. I would never survive in this show. So on the bottom, we have Fabio, Jose, top, we have Carla and Stefan, and winner is Carla, which is so exciting. We are big Carla fans here.
Yeah, I've never. She didn't do anything with her career after that, right? I don't know who they. Who would have thought? Yeah.
Any of these people ever again, and you never see them on the show again, certainly.
Yeah.
It was so rude that in this episode, Carla drops halfway through. She's like, "Yeah, my whole life I was a model, and then now I'm a chef." I'm like, how? I mean, she's perfect and an angel, and I love her, and I would die for her. But I'm also like, how dare when people are? I mean, Avishar, I guess you're the same way. When people are good at more than one thing, I'm like, that is rude. Why are you good at so many things?
It can be, but also like maybe it makes sense that modeling is not like there's a skill set involved with that would also work very well with cooking. And I look at the same as like Wiley was an athlete. He was a sports person. He wanted to do sports, so he applied that mindset. Like I can't necessarily become a professional athlete, so how do I do this in the kitchen? How do I build a team? It's one of the things I found in cooking throughout my time is that nothing that I've learned in my past is useless. I can always apply it in a restaurant setting. So I never really like, and I know it's like it's a weird. Excuse me.
You're totally fine. Ooh, you got a cough button.
Yeah, I get excited by conversation. So that was just it was just what someone's been through. Sometimes it's hard for us to understand. I always try and just take one step back and go, I don't know, like, and you can say, hey, it was kind of weird, but I could be like, oh man, I'm supposed to be a doctor. Oh, I don't have any, like, I think everyone's got their own demons to battle and everyone's got their own fight. And when they've come from something, and especially if you're really good at something, to say, now I'm going to choose the pathway of cooking, especially back then. Are you kidding me? Like you're throwing your entire life away, basically. You're saying, I have no chance of success here because there's so many people that do this. And I'm very good at what I do. And I'm doing this, like, that's one of the cool things about cooking is it's about making people happy at the end. The people that do well make people happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Carla makes one of the most respected chefs in my opinion from Top Chef. And some people don't even consider someone from Top Chef. They just know her based on her personality. And she was who she was on that competition, and who she is right now is the same person. I want to believe. Like I don't see no difference. There's no inconsistency in her behavior. She's awesome. Like it's cool. As I saw her on the Chew and I saw her on Top Chef, and it's like you're the same Carla everyone loves, and that's like one of those cool things is you get a chance to do that in the main stage.
We were talking in an earlier episode about how she seems like a fully actualized person. Like she's just like got her shit sorted out. She knows what she loves. She knows what she doesn't. She has a happy life and is also just a good cook, and it like really shows.
Yeah, but even outside of all that, like putting being put on Top Chef, there's a lot of pressure, right? Every time, it's not even about like cooking. Like it's always about cooking, but now it's like, oh, it's getting one person goes home every week. So no matter what, if everyone is the best, someone goes home every week. That's not you never have had 2 winners or 12 winners of Top Chef. There's one winner, right?
Mhm.
So something gives, something cracks, and she maintained herself throughout the entire way, I think, with a very good composure, which no one is like, hey, remember that time Carla was like, yeah, and this might be a statement that, that she said this thing, but in active movement, she was always just trying, she was being herself. And that's a hard thing to do when you know that hundreds of thousands of people could be watching you on TV. Like, and most of us chefs, we're private people. We don't expose ourselves. Generally, we're just like, hey, we're just working in our kitchen. And then when we're done with Top Chef, like we go back to cooking. And so if someone sees you on Top Chef and they think that you suck at cooking, what do they think about your restaurant? There's a lot of like things that you deal with. So at the end of the day, you make a decision. You go, am I going to be me on this? Because you get to choose who you want to be when you're on Top Chef. And the people that are themselves do a lot better, I think, than the people that don't.
Yeah, for sure.
Other than me, I didn't do so well, but I was myself the entire time.
You did well.
Yeah, but I'm the exception every rule, so yeah.
All right. For the elimination challenge, everyone draws knives. And the challenge is to cook a Last Supper meal for a group of famous chefs. Now, Jordan, our audience wants to know what you think of this challenge specifically.
Yes, I know that I typically don't like a challenge where it's kind of like do this exact thing, zero creativity, but I do feel like this challenge had a lot of creativity. I think that honestly, a lot of the chefs weren't as creative as they could have been. And I think that's why this challenge was hard, because it's like, do I do my own thing or do I stay classic? And I think the people that kind of struggled with it, like Hosea, for example, were kind of like, well, I'm going to a little bit do my thing, but I'm also a little bit going to stick to the classics. And I'm like, I don't know, in my opinion, I'm like, you got to pick one and just go whole hog. You either do the best version of a classic or the best version of your own thing,
Yeah, I thought the place where creativity comes in is, for me, like we were talking last week, there was a Le Bernardin challenge where they had to recreate a bunch of dishes from Eric Ripert's menu and do it exactly. We are not big fans of that kind of challenge because we don't get to see the chef's like personality as much, just from a non-chefy point of view of watching and being like, I want to know what Carla's take on that like cod dish would have been or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we love the like chef takes on stuff rather than like replicate this meal exactly. So this was interesting because at least they weren't all like at the Le Bernardin challenge, all of those were like fish dishes that were different, but all like very fine dining, upscale fish entrees. And this at least had some like variety in terms of, we got a little like Swedish from Marcus Samuelsson. We got, roasted
also,
chicken.
this is season 5. So what year is this? And what does like food look like back then than it does now? So like for me watching right now, I was like, holy crap. Like a lot of things would have changed. A lot of people would have said different things. There's a lot of stuff that is different.
Yes.
18 seasons is a long ass time. That's one a year. Like it's so long. So that's like before I was even like actually professionally cooking. It was like right in that middle ground where I was like, whoa, this is a cool show. Like it was very interesting to see, like to kind of run back and see that again. Also, thank you very much for, I haven't watched an episode of Top Chef since I've been on there. So thank you for ruining my life. Cause now when you watch it, it's different. You can't watch it the same ever again when you're on there. You cannot, it's so different. You're just like, oh God, I know how they're feeling right now. Like it's like now, like, oh, it's about this. Yeah.
Imagine. I mean, especially like just like watching people scramble during a quick fire or doing because sometimes.
And you think about that, very important. They're called challenges for a reason. They're not called like, showcase. They're not called showcases. They're called challenges, right? Until you're in the final, and then it's still a combination because you have somebody you've never worked with your entire life making half your food, basically. So also a challenge. But one of them is a quick fire, right? So they go work on your feet for half an hour, produce something you'd never produce in your restaurant ever. The other one is like, here's 3 hours and someone goes home. And no matter what, there's a pressure associated with either. There are different pressures. By the end of my time there, I was like, quick fires are fun because usually people don't go home, and you should go all out. Just if you want to do crazy food, do it during a quick fire because you can either win, which one person will, but most people don't lose a quick fire. It's like someone will tell you something, and as a chef, you feel like shit when they're like, "Hey, you suck at this. You can't do that. What are you doing cooking?" Like that's how you feel. They don't say those words, but in your mind, like you're going to be on TV and people are going to see you on the bottom. So that's not a nice feeling. But it also like knowing that and then seeing it, and then people like call you the day that it happens, and you're like, dude, this happened like didn't happen today. I already know about this. I've had to deal with this for like a year, half a year. Like I already knew this, this and that. Don't tell me again. You know,
Actually, that's the question I have, because sometimes it's like obvious because they'll say something that makes you understand, but like, are quick fires one day and the elimination is the next day?
Depends. It's all it just depends on, you know, they keep it mixed up, honestly. And it's true to form the majority of the time is like when you see something like the challenges that viewer associates with Top Chef are not the challenges that we have as a chef, but some of the assumptions that viewers make are actually, I wouldn't say off base, but they're like, you know, they're not there, so they wouldn't quite understand. Like, yeah, if you have this day or 2 days, you got to do it. Like, you know, it's the thing is like it is a competition at the end of the day. One person wins and one person wins this money. Really, like this is the thing that happens. I did in fact get my $10,000. So just if you guys are wondering, it is real. So it does show up. That is not, and then yeah, like those things are real. So I will tell you this is once that clock goes, like it goes. The clock doesn't stop. There's no exception. That's completely real. I've seen other things where that's not been the case, but that's completely real with Top Chef. So there's a lot of pressure all the time. And then when we get into this elimination, like you gotta think about this. Like you've been doing this long, and now you're in like the top 5. And what happens every week if you survive, which is what my approach was. If I make it past one round, I'm pretty impressed. But like they made it to the top 5, and they're about to go to the semifinals. When you hear semifinals, you hear restaurant wars. There's all these terms you hear, and you're like, I can't go home. I can't go home. And then you go like, what do I got to do to step it up to make sure that, because ultimately, like people will say, I want to be better than this guy, but the only way you can be better than this person is to make better food, right? Because you get judged based on your food, not how much better you think you're than this person. The person on the bottom goes home. If you're in the top 3, you stay. Go make the worst food. And then, do the best you can with the time you're given. And when you're there, you never think that. You're just like, I now have to cook for iconic chefs, which is crazy for this show. It's called The Last. Enough pressure, right? Now you're in somebody else's kitchen, not your kitchen. You're in somebody else's kitchen with like you're walking in and you got to make this thing and you got to impress this person. And in your mind, you question yourself because this is intentional. It's a challenge, right? It's got to be challenging. So you have to make an educated decision as a chef, because there's sometimes, you have a guest that's very challenging. They say, hey, are you going to make this completely classically, like the way that they want, or do they want me to be creative? That's not given to you as a guideline. That's actually complete. So like, I mean, I will very much respect the fact that every chef did make a decision, and maybe they said, I want to try this or not, and they got penalized for it, but no one made bad food at the end of that, right? At the end of it, what did they say? They said, hey, we want you all to go on. That's when you hear that, that's a very good sign. It means that like you have a lot of good cooking, because we all look at this competition, this person thinks sucked. It's not necessarily that. It's just that, these 3 were the best, and this one they were a little bit better than this one, right? Your margin is you're already in the top 98%, the top 2 percentile for being on this from the beginning. And every day the margins get narrower and narrower and narrower. So it could be something as stupid as like, hey, I spilled this thing on the side of the plate and that ruins it. And that it costs you, right? So there's so many factors in play that it's like when they're at this level in this round, I'm not sure that anyone really made a bad decision. And there's just things that happen along the way. And I thought everyone that put out a dish, it was again like Leah went home, right? I'm sorry, I know I jumped the gun, but it's like Leah went home for that. But it was like she consciously decided to thin out the hollandaise, right? Do you think that she did that like because she was just like, I don't know what to, like, she's like, I want to do it this way. This way seems right. And from that mindset, like, you know what your parents want, you know what your teacher wants. You just want to do the best you can, and that was her decision. And ultimately, some of those things are what sent her home. But it wasn't like she made a bad dish. And was like, man, this is terrible. Everyone had something they liked about it. Not everyone's like, this sucks. This sucks. This sucks. They said, hey, I like this bacon. I like the fact that she went for it this way. I don't want a gloopy hollandaise. Like everyone had and those are different judges. So again, that's a really cool thing to hear, is that different judges had different problems with the dish. Mm-hmm. Not every judge had one problem. If every judge has the same problem with the dish, then that's a problem. That means that you did make a bad decision. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think it's hard too, because it's like if you had other judges, they could have liked a thinner hollandaise sauce. Like not everybody. Correct.
And that's again, like that's what it comes down to, is like it's never a sure thing. There's ways that you can try and predict, and it's like the stock market. You can say, hey, I got this thing going on, but one decision, it could cost you, right? And
Sure.
They're all like, also like, I'm about to go to New Orleans. I've been in New York City this entire time. I'm about to go to New Orleans. Like, like that's your mindset too. Like, I want to go to New Orleans. You don't want to go to New Orleans? I want to go to New Orleans. Like, yeah, like, so there's so much stuff in your mind that it hits you. And it's, I have so much respect for the fact that they put out such awesome food in that kitchen. Fabio like cut his finger, and still kept going. And it was really cool to see. From my perspective, it was like, man, they all made decisions. No one said, I'm going to change my decision. They said, this is what I'm going to do. And that's very respectful.
Yeah. Yes. Run through real quick what they made. So Fabio, firstly, yes. I remember I always hear the mechanics of how he injured his finger differently. It'll be like, I pulled it back, it snapped off, I cut right through it. He breaks his finger and continues to cook. And that's a big top, if we're like keeping a list of Top Chef motifs, there is a big, there's a lot of conversation around what to do when you're injured in the kitchen and like who is tough enough to tough it out, what kind of injury is worth you sitting out.
It's never worth it. And I'll tell you this objectively from our season is Nelson experienced a lot of pain. He hurt himself and he wanted to keep going, and he, thankfully he's okay. But again, like we're human beings and we got to go back to work. Like, it's not like we're done and it's like, hey, we have 2 weeks off. It's especially during the pandemic, we've already left our kitchens with like 3 people in there. Like, and they're busting their ass because they want to show you that they can run their kitchen. Like that was our season's challenge for, it was like, there were so many, like, it's not like we're at the peak of our career. We were for a lot of us, we were picked at the lowest of our career because we were just trying to make something work. And we're very humbled. Like, we're so happy to have that opportunity. So like every decision you make, there or not, like if you're injured, you're actually injured. So do you say it's worth it for sure or not? And, I'm so glad that Nelson was like, I can't do this. Cause like, he's got 2 restaurants, right? Like that's very, and I know you guys talked to Nelson already, but it was like, that was what I thought about. I was like, dude, this guy, like I saw him and he was in a lot of pain. And it's like one of the things that we have to do as chefs better for everyone is like, we got to get over this, like, I'm a badass, I can be more than human attitude. It's bullshit. Yes, and then I will start cursing here because like we've done that our entire lives and it's not better for anybody. If you want to lead by example, take care of yourself. Right? Yes. Like, how do you expect the next generation to do better if you don't set an example for yourself? And it's not selfish at all. It's like saying, hey, like me as a chef, I'm going to make this decision. It means that person that's working under you, working with you, they'll go, cool, I need to make decisions too. And then they go, I would never expect my cook to say that they're sick and work. Like, that's up to us to decide. We're in an interesting point in the industry where we have a lot of chances to make differences. And I think like you see an injury, like you said, you see an injury every season. And it's like, now we can say, dude, I'm injured. And, there's a lot of things that can affect my life. And I don't want to continue. And I think it's very respectable because you understand the consequence of that. And you go, now I'm no longer on Top Chef. And that sucks. But that's the nature. Again, there's the competition involved. And then there's a restaurant at home and you get to choose. And that's real life. That's reality. And that's it's cool to see because Nelson is super badass. Like, that guy is like, and he's Dominican. If we have time later, I'll tell you about my time in Oakland. But it's like I'm continuously like, I showed up to Top Chef knowing nobody because I'm not a cool guy. Like, I'm not in tune with the industry now. I just work at this restaurant. Like, I just try and make the best. Again, I just do this thing isolated because I just don't know. Like, I haven't been in touch with a lot of these things, and I met all these chefs, and I never knew them before. And I was like, when I came first, I was like, well, if I'm here, I'm going to try and win. That's it. I'm not going to make any friends. I'm just going to try and win. That's it. That's why I'm here, because I don't know anybody. I don't care. After like my first sitting down, I was like, these are really cool people and they're chefs and respectful. And I was like, man, I look up to everybody here because everyone has been through their own struggle and been a different way. And I think that sort of stuff is like, it's so cool to have like a genuine connection with people in our industry when we can't even sometimes identify with people in our own town. Like, these are people in different states, and to see like how they've endeared and how they talk to their staff now, it's so cool to see, because sometimes you feel alone when you're a chef. Like, you have no idea how to identify with people. And I do like really appreciate that of Top Chef more than anything else I've done in my past. Is like I felt like I've made some actual friends in the industry. That, like, not that I don't have friends in the industry here, but it just, you don't know how someone in California, like, we had people from all over, and to find common threads between everybody, and we didn't really know each other, was so cool. Like, I felt like I still am humbled to this day about the fact that I do have everyone's number, and that I know that if I had an issue, they'd come and help. Like, it's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think, very well said on the thing of like, because that was the exact point of just like, it is great Fabio ended up, spoiler, winning the challenge, but the like whole mentality of like work through the pain is really, really toxic and bad. And it's pervasive in the cooking industry. It's pervasive in a lot of industries.
Well, back then it was honestly like, when I saw that, I was like, this is badass.
Yeah,
right?
of
And
course.
I don't think to this day, I don't think that was not badass. But I think right now our frame of reference is, I think saying, hey, I got a family, I got a restaurant. I think that is badass too. I don't think you're being a coward. I don't think you're being weak. I think that is also badass in its own way. And we should just like go, cool. This is cool. This is cool. But damn, if you're actually breaking a finger, like again, and we had Roscoe too, and Roscoe, oh boy, he was on a cast for a while afterwards because I think he dropped a pig on his foot before Top Chef. So there was a lot of, we all had some injuries. All of us got injuries along the way. Mine are mostly emotional. But it's we are an older group and we were all chefs, so it was cool because this year was all chefs, right? I think I'm fairly certain we were all like executive chefs. So the mindset was cool that you could identify in a lot of stuff and you're like, hey, yeah, we get this, or we need help. And the stereotype from that, not necessarily that season, but perhaps before that, was this is a competition. Screw you. I'm going to do whatever I can to ruin your life. And I think in contrast this year, we did the exact opposite. And I think people like it, but it wasn't forced. It was just the way that we felt. We're just like, hey man, we're all going through some tough times. Let's just work for each other and let's work with each other. You need help, chef? Let me help you out, chef. You break something, let me do it. And even if you watch that episode very carefully, you'll see that everyone is talking, like you got your shit talking, you got Stefan talking shit, but are people not helping him plate?
Yeah, right.
What everyone's actually doing. Everybody is helping everybody plate, even when they're done with their challenge. That is an intentional decision for everyone to help each other out. And that's like a very cool thing, right?
Yeah,
because they don't have to. When you're done, you can just go. You don't have to do shit. You can just go. I get out of there. But for people to say, "Hey, I'm going to stay and help you plate this dish," even if I have a problem with you, it just shows like the spirit is like we want to make the best food we can, right? We don't want you to go home because you messed up necessarily. And even at season 5, that's like it's crazy to see that has stayed alive for this entire time.
Absolutely, that's one of the best things about the show, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So here are the dishes we got for the Last Supper. Leah got assigned eggs Benedict. So she made an eggs Benedict with a slow poached egg and bacon on challah with a side salad to break up the fat.
Mm-hmm.
I think this sounds like what I would order for breakfast.
What did I say about salads? Just FY. There it is. See, now it came out. Yeah.
Like the salad.
Yeah.
We're right.
Yeah.
I wish Leah had known.
You only know that if you work there. They don't really like. Yes. You don't like know you.
Well, especially to put a salad on to break up the fattiness of a dish he requested. He knows the dish is fatty, or rich or whatever. So Stefan made salmon with spinach 2 ways, roasted potato, and dill sauce. Listen, I'm here for it. I love dill.
You did.
Hosea made shrimp scampi with tomatoes provençal and beurre blanc.
Sounds good.
Wiley, #tomatoes. Fabio made roasted chicken with herb roasted potatoes, caramelized cipollini, and a leafy salad with carrots, heirloom, tomatoes, and balsamic, which they called an airplane salad. Good. All these sound good. Spoiler. Carla made this dish I remember from my first time ever watching the show. Squab with lemon thyme butter sauce, demi-glace, and butter tarragon peas. The way Carla talks about peas is how I want someone to speak of me at my funeral.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
Like the amount of affection she has for peas is so incredible.
Yeah, especially fresh peas when they're out of season, which again is like that's a risky move. Yes, but she knows her peas, and also like the labor involved in taking that out when you have a challenge and you're in Top Chef and you have to cook like 8 of these meals. That's all those things are. It's a sign of like, I know I can do this better than anyone else. It's got to have been, is what I would think, especially at that point in the competition where you're like, hey, I got this. And it shows. Like there was like, when you feel really good and you go through it, she rolled. Like there was one's like, man, these people, no one said a single bad thing about those peas. And she was like, yeah, I found them at Whole Foods and they were fresh, not frozen. Because Wiley, so by the way, Wiley actually prefers frozen peas. So.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's consistent. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. There used to be a show called After Hours with Daniel Boulud. It was a long time ago before like Hulu. And it was like before there was streaming television. There was like some channels, and this is how insane I was obsessed about food before I even started like cooking professionally. In college, I watched these, and it was like an unscripted show. And they went to WD-50, and Daniel Boulud went, and there was like you just bring people on, and they do dinner, and they just it was chefs cooking for chefs. And Wiley made peas and pasta, and it was frozen peas, and he was like. again, I have this really weird memory where this is like over 10 years ago now, but I will not forget hearing like, hey, like, and it makes sense. He's like, Birdseye kind of invented the process of flash freezing peas. So you don't think they have a secure hold on the supply chain to pick a pea at its peak? Like, they're not freezing shitty peas. So they're picking the same with Heinz and ketchup. It's like they own the tomato and Campbell's too. Like, if you say that it tastes bad, you've got to get into better as to saying why, because they have the supply chain, so they pick it this 1 month they use for their entire year supply. There's a lot of thought that goes into that. It's part of the process, and that's why frozen peas are like huge. And also, I also love frozen peas because like you can pull them out, and you can drop them in anything. Like when my mom makes samosas, she uses frozen peas. Like it's a very consistent product. I don't know. Some people have some, and this is a chef thing, is like they shit on things, and I was like, I don't know why you shit on it. Like, why not see why it's there first before you shit on it? Why don't you just try and make something better? Like, why are you making your career saying something else sucks instead of saying you could just do better? And that's a very interesting mindset. But yeah, Carla picked fresh peas, which again, like I say, completely risky. So it must have meant that she's like, I know I got this. Like, and she may not have said it because she had a quiet confidence in that as a model. Maybe that's something you gain along the way. I don't know. I was just very impressed by seeing that in the presentation. Like, you go, I put the peas in this thing and I put this here. Like, you think about touch, like, oh, it should look like this. It should be very fancy. But she's like, I'm just going to put these two things out in the best way possible. And no one was like, damn, this sucks. They're just like, wow, this is confidence, right? And so there's nothing that you can say about like, like it's crazy, right? Amazing.
Yeah. She ends up on top. Her and Fabio end up on top. Fabio is the winner. Yep. And I would say both of them just kind of like really leaned into what their dishes were. Bob was Leah, Hosea, and Stefan, but again, like a lot of positive things about all their dishes. And Leah went home. Mm-hmm. Now, Avishar, we had a few questions from our audience members for you. Okay. So I just wanted to get those started, which is our first one was from Elaine. Is there any like one behind the scenes like fun fact or detail you can recall? So for reference, Sasha told us something none of us will ever forget, which is that Tom Colicchio doesn't wear socks. Oh yeah, we love that information. That's the exact flavor of information we love. So do you have anything that you find particularly fun or interesting or that like stood out to you?
I have a lot of those, but some of the best come from the stuff that's done like off camera. Is like, it's honestly like everyone is on the same page when we do this entire thing where we're like, we might be doing different things, but you can play a prank on somebody. You could do something terrible. You could make a joke. You could, I don't know, put a ghost in front of somebody's door, scare the shit out of them. We had our season thing was we had a ghost on our floor. And it was legit, like we were all terrified of it. So there was noise that happened and we even named the ghost. I think that was kind of funny. I think the funniest thing, and I think I should go on there because there's this we were all there for episode 1 and I was on the bottom, right? Something that happened is I did find a way to make everybody laugh before I thought I was going home, because I honestly thought I was like, I'm done. And it was like a tirade. And I think it's just like, it was one of like, it was so cool to see everyone genuinely laugh in a time when it was like sad. It was like, like when you go on TV, the pressure is really high and you're scared. And everyone's like, oh my God. Then you go, man, I actually suck. I couldn't make it past one round Top Chef. I'm going to be the first one to go home. This is the way you feel. And trust me, I went through every emotion in Top Chef, I think, because I went bottom, top. I went all the way through. I was middle just once. So I was always on one or the other. It was really cool to see everyone just like stop and just crack up for like a good 5 minutes. And I'll never forget that. And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, I can go home right now. I feel completely fine. Because like I was like, this is supposed to be a very sad moment, but no one can contain themselves because it was just, we were all just being ourselves. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to say specifically what I said because I don't know. I don't know if it's allowed, but I think it's like, it's really cool to see everyone being human for a moment and just like laughing their asses off. And I mean, like laughing their ass off. It wasn't like, it was just like, what, like everyone's like, we were so sad until you said these things. And I thought that was like, it was awesome.
And may I ask what the name of the ghost was?
The ghost? Mm-hmm. It had several names. We thought it was a cowboy.
Can you say the cowboy?
Yeah, it was well, we called it it was a poltergeist. Actually, it wasn't a ghost because so poltergeist move things, and it definitely moves stuff. Funniest thing is and here's a little behind the scenes is I think Gabriel thought that Jamie was being crazy or something, or it was one way or the other. But no one was like opening shelves or doors or anything. It was there was just something going on between the rooms. So that was the poultry cowboy. That's what we called it. Yeah, it was poultry cowboy. Yes, not poultry cowboy, which would be a stupid dad joke. Like I have a lot of those, but not in that direction. It was the poultry cowboy, and no one disagrees that some weird stuff happened on that floor. Some weird stuff. We don't know what sort of thing was going on in the nether realm, but all of us believed that for one moment. We all agree that there was some weird stuff going on.
Okay, wow. I love a sort of spooky behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that Tom has no socks. I think that's really cool. More interesting is saying, hey, we all believe in ghosts for this period of time.
Actually,
we're all on board. No one was not on board with this poultry cowboy.
Yes,
and it made it so much easier to scare people. That's what I liked about it. But
and now I'm thinking that Tom's socks are just ghosts. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. It is true.
Okay, another question from the audience. Do you have a favorite season of the show?
I have several. And again, it's like the first season that I was remembering was Hung's season, where it was just to watch like just badass overpower, right? Voltage Brothers season again was a crazy one too. There's so many seasons that had memorable experiences. Even like watching Melissa win too, from previous to where she came up to, it's cool to see that there's peaks and valleys, things to go in every single one. So I like them all for different reasons. Richard Blaze's first season was a crazy season. A lot of stuff happened. So I have like very distinct memories. But I will say like it was, watching the Voltage Brothers go head to head at that time was fascinating to me, because like they were applying techniques, and they were applying absolutely like molecular gastronomy, if you want to say that, but none of it was, their food was not described that way. It was like, hey, we work for Charlie Palmer, and we're two brothers and we're doing this stuff. And you can't say neither of those guys can cook. Like you can have problems with them if you like, but they can make food, and their job on Top Chef is to be a chef, and they were both very good chefs in that show. Yeah. It's how rare is it that you find two brothers like just doing that and making it that far and putting out stuff like it's crazy. Like me and the chefs that I was working with at the time were just like, oh well, it's gonna be Brian, it's gonna be Michael. Like we don't know. And ultimately, it's like it made it a lot more exciting to watch a lot of episodes. And when I watched episodes, my thing was like, I'd watch and be like, how do I make that?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that's so hard to make. Like that's what you do, because you go, how do you make that with 2 hours and no kitchen equipment now? Like I look at it now. Like back then when you watch it, because I've been a spectator my entire life, I was like, oh, I would have done this, would have done that. And now when you're on there, like, ooh boy, like to put that out and make it look this way. And they made everything look really good. They never had like any plating issues. So
yeah,
to make really good plated food on that
freeze. Oh no.
I'm filled with anticipation.
I'm so full.
Like a lot of time.
You froze for a little bit, Avishar, but you were saying it's hard to make plain food. Yes.
yeah, for sure. It's very hard to make. It is very hard to do a lot of things, but it's very crazy to see people pull out food like that consistently.
Well, actually, we normally ask what people would have cooked for this challenge, but since this challenge was sort of pre-decided meals, what would you cook for your last meal?
What would I cook? I was hoping you'd ask me what I'd eat for my last meal. That'd be a lot better.
Oh yeah, or eat. I mean, yeah.
Like if you were in this
challenge, what would your last meal be?
If I was in this challenge, what would have happened was I would have been assigned. So when I started, I was assigned chucker, which I thought I understood poultry. I didn't know what the hell chucker is. Like seriously, I was like, that was like I will never forget that moment. I was like, okay, well, I drew 2 bad straws. I'm going home. Like that's it. There's no way I'm making it. So I would have probably gotten. Not sure what I would have gotten. It would have been interesting to get Wiley's dish from a perspective of having worked for him in the past. What I would have preferred to have like actually make is I think with the perspective that I have now, I've been like let's just make something that tastes great and not something that tastes terrible. Because sometimes you get so caught up with like, I want to impress this person, and you do. And here's the thing: at the end of the day, is if I got to cook for like Jacques Pepin and make him what he wanted, no matter what, that's a win for me. Because like, how often do you get that chance? Right. Like if he says, man, this is not what I wanted, you still got the opportunity. And how hard is it to get that? And I think the dish that would have been cool to make for somebody would have been like, actually, what they should have done, and I don't know if they've done this in the past, but have you make like an iconic dish that your parents made or that you remember, and your parents, other people's parents, judge your dish. That would have been crazy. I think like that would be a fun because it's a double twist because they don't know, and then you add the blind aspect of that one. Like you take all this challenge and you stack them that way. I think it would be very neat to see if they could transfer, because when it comes to cooking, technically, like this is what it's similar to medical school. Like technically, everyone's very good at cooking. Like no one sucks at cooking in our season. I watched after and I was like, holy shit, everyone here knows how to cook. This is crazy. And if you're able to stay with them, you're like, damn, I also can cook. You feel better about yourself. You're like, holy crap, we're all making this caliber of food. So beyond that, like, how do you separate people? As you need to inject some history or some emotion, something that you care about. And how does that translate if you remove the emotional aspect personally and you make it objective? Because it does. I mean, there's times that I've heard in the past people, this reminds me of that, and it's not even the same memory. And I go, well, if it reminds you of something, then that's a win, right? You go, damn, like I affected you in a way. So to produce that effect on Top Chef by doing a triple blind, this is the science of becoming out. Like, I think that'd be one of the craziest challenges in the entire world. But I don't know. Like that's just me.
What would your last supper be?
If I had to choose, it just depends on the time of the day and what so if it's the morning, it'd be something as simple as either just my favorite traditional breakfast, which is the boring answer is like, yeah, it would be just like really shitty wheat bread, like not the good wheat bread, the shitty wheat bread, just toasted perfectly with I can't believe it's not butter country crock, one of those things where the butter doesn't actually melt into it, it sits on top because I like to bite into butter with like a slow fried sunny side up egg, or if it's my dad making it, a hard fried egg. They're both good. You don't have to choose one or the other, right? And a glass of orange juice. Like a better version of me that is I would say a trashy version of me is country fried steak is my favorite thing. I go to Cracker Barrel and get a grandpa's country fried steak platter. That's something like you can hate me all you want, but don't hate me for liking something that just exists. Like I'm not the only person that likes it. It's on a menu in a national chain. A lot of people like eating fried steak in the morning with country gravy and apple butter. I am sorry for liking that. I apologize that I cannot suit your taste and I can't be the person you expect me to, but I like it. So like if it's like lunchtime, it's as simple as like, what I really like is I would just like a really nice, I like wide rice noodles quite a bit. So if it's a Chinese version, I'd go with like a beef ho fun with like a black bean sauce and a spare rib that's braised. Like I love that. That's like a one dish meal, or like nasi lemak, like an Indonesian fried rice would be amazing with entirely way too deep fried egg and a chicken cutlet. And I think that would be amazing. Or if I went the Thai direction, it would be, a pad rad na, which is a underrated version, I think, of like noodles and gravy. There's a gravy thing with me, but like charring noodles really hard in a wok to the point where they're scorched, and covering them with this like chicken stock based gravy with like just simple greens that are blanched and some meat. And this is not 3-star food or whatever to most people, but to me this is, because I will never forget this. And it's affordable and it's great, and anyone that eats it, no matter who they are as a chef, they love it. And that's the test of time. So that would be my lunch thing. Dinner would be my mom's kachi biryani. Like my mom makes very good goat, and I didn't realize it till I was an adult, but it was just like one of my flavor memories. And now as an adult, I'm just like, damn, like there's some stuff that I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about, and they don't know food. Like there's people that don't. They really don't give a shit about food. They just want to eat dinner, right? But if they stop for a second and go, holy crap, that's good, now they know food, right? Like it's when you have moments like that, like, and my mom consistently has those with people that are very much not, I'm the weird Bengali American that's, it's very strange. I've never really had like traditional friends or anything. It's always been kind of weird for me, but consistently I wanted to have a pizza party and my friends wanted to have my mom's food. From when I was a kid to when I to the point where when my friends started drinking, they would show up at 2 a.m. and they want my mom's chicken curry. Like they'd eat it with a gallon of milk because it was too spicy, but they wouldn't stop and they'd eat with their hands. Like there's something to be said about that. I think it's pretty cool. Like you focus on things like that. Like that's the sort of meal that I want to have. Is it's like you just shove your face. I think those are like and again, I guess you could say that maybe I have like a greasier palate where I like things with oil. Like I like Sichuan food. I like those things. But God, like when you have them at their peak, and at the moment you're supposed to, it's not about like I eat it tomorrow. It's like when you eat it right there, you're like, this is crazy. And I spent $5 for it, and it can change your life. Like you're like, I had a really rough day, but having some like really, like hong, if you have like a hong chow, like chow show, like a Sichuan chili wontons, like it's just simple. It's like hot oil and a sweet and soy sauce. When they're just right and they slip down your throat, it makes you feel good, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's so many of those moments, and it's like that's what I think like when you get those moments, like then you feel like a chef, and you're like, man, I can make someone else have the same moment in their life. I can order for you, and you like it. It's like, hey, I might like this movie. As a chef, it's a challenge that we deal with all the time because we all have strong personalities. That's we're not really good at much else, so we want to be a chef. But I go like, hey, how do I find a way to say, I know that you don't like salted cod fried rice, but I could give you this, and I know you'll like it, and you get it right, and you go, hey, you haven't had this before, but you're gonna like it. That's that's like hospitality for me 101. It's like it's the most amazing feeling. That's what I think a last meal should be for anyone. Is like maybe it's something you never had, right? It could be just like a bowl of cereal. I don't know. Like it's just to say, I know that you like crunchy things, sweet things, savory things, spicy things, and I made this thing for you. That maybe your last meal was these ideas, and I put it in a way that you never imagined. I think that's the creativity of chefs. Like you produce something that somebody that they will like it, but maybe in a way that they didn't expect.
Absolutely. Well, Avishar, thank you so much for chatting with us about Top Chef and giving us.
So did I win in the going on longer than you guys? I think I did, right?
You're really detailed. Like people are like, I love all the like scientific answers and stuff. So
it's not science. My second. I'm also very good at lying and acting like I know what I'm talking about. Well, but I didn't tell you about that part. I want to wait for the end.
Why do Braid loves tomatoes?
I was just kidding. Actually, there's salad on every tasting menu. Yeah, I gotcha.
Absolutely. Well, I'm actually getting word from a Bravo producer here.
Oh God, Oh God, are they coming after me?
No, they said they're not coming after you, but that you are Top Chef.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh wow, that's a producer said that.
Well, yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but there's actually 2 ways to be a Top Chef, and we'll keep saying this until Bravo asks us to stop. But you can either compete on the reality TV cooking competition show Top Chef and win.
I think so. I'm gonna have to stop you there as someone that is unscripted reality.
Oh, excuse me. Okay,
competition. Unscripted reality. It's its own category for the awards. So
that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Or you can be a guest on this unscripted reality podcast that's live streamed on YouTube for charity. This is
a vodcast because people have to like see my face. Like if it was a podcast, I could just use my awesome deep voice and talk because no one would know. But now I have to like look presentable. I have to look like I'm a chef. It's just put stuff on. Like I'm just wearing like a wife beater underneath this, and that's sorry, I can't say a tank top underneath this. So I got dressed nicely. It's at 11 p.m. here in Columbus.
My God, we so appreciate you. And by the way, just when you win on Talk Chef,
how did they not kick you out of the kitchen? By the way, like how are you still allowed in there?
That's what's crazy. See, okay, so here's the thing, because Padma and I sort of roll deep because we know that whether you're on Top Chef or Talk Chef, either way, an Indian woman's going to tell you are Top Chef. So it doesn't, either way you cut it, so we're very simpatico that way.
I feel very, very good. I feel
good.
Well, that's something I haven't felt in I don't know, since like I was 5 years old. So thank you. You've changed my life.
So glad. Avishar, if people want to try your food or just see more from you, how can they find you?
I have the most complicated Instagram tag, and I'm going to give you this last story, which I think is very, very interesting for me, at least. Is I thought Instagram was like a photo editing app. So when it came out, I saw it and I was like, "This is like like Facebook." All this stuff was new at this time, and I saw it and I was like, "Why in the hell would I ever want to share anything with anyone else in the entire world? Like, I just want to keep it to myself." And so my tag is Avishar because I was the first Avishar out there. So just simply Avishar, yeah. And I didn't use it for like 10 years. And then some interest was just like, hey, I'm going to create this page for you. And you're going to do this thing and you're going to post these pictures. And then at some point I was like, well, I like taking pictures. So maybe I can just post pictures. And, for somebody, again, I have a hard time talking about my emotions, but I think a picture speaks pretty well, or a video does. So it's kind of cool. Like I respect those mediums quite a bit. I can't draw worth shit. I can't paint. Like I'm not an artist, but like it's cool to be able to like share your perspective of the world. And I'm so like grateful like that I have people that interact with me. My entire life I've never really had anyone to like talk to. And now I have strangers that are like, hey, what do you think about this? And I was like, I can tell you what I think. It's probably wrong, but they're interested. And I was like, I think it's so cool. Like, we focus so much about like how this media, these things can be bad, but like what you guys are doing is amazing. I'm so like honored to be here and to be able to have a conversation about food and like, meet people. And I never thought in a million years that me saying, hey, I'm not going to be a licensed physician. I'm going to go this career path that is arguable in our culture to be the worst career path you could ever choose when I chose it. To make this. So, like every time I don't have a lot of emotion, but I feel them for things like this. And I'm really grateful for being on here. So I thank you very much for that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Avishar, truly thank you. It's so inspirational to hear you talk about food and how clearly passionate you are and how you've made this new career path for yourself and you're clearly succeeding. And everyone in the chat has been a huge fan of you. So thank you so much for hopping on. And guys, I believe next week we might be combining episodes 13 and 14 for the season 5 finale.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, so stay tuned.
Just Snape kills Dumbledore, I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you found out.